Sleep in the Middle Ages was not a protected state of rest. It was a vulnerable pause inside a life built around labor, scarcity, and constant risk. People did not approach sleep as recovery or comfort. They approached it as a temporary lowering of guard, something necessary but dangerous. Rest existed within the same conditions as waking life and was shaped by fear, exhaustion, and the need to remain alert. Homes offered little separation from the outside world. Walls were thin, roofs unreliable, and doors easy to breach. Inside, space was crowded, shared with family members, animals, tools, and fire. Smoke hung in the air, heat was uneven, and noise was constant. Sleep took place in environments where the body could never fully relax. Even lying down meant staying partially aware of sounds, movement, and changes in temperature. Darkness intensified insecurity. Night reduced visibility and increased risk. Fire could spread unnoticed. Theft and intrusion were more likely. Illness worsened in cold and damp air. Sleep required trust in the household and submission to shared vulnerability. People rested together not for comfort, but for safety. Separation meant exposure. Sleep followed natural rhythms rather than fixed schedules. Without artificial light, activity slowed after sunset and resumed before dawn, but rest was rarely continuous. People often slept in segments, waking naturally during the night. These awakenings were not alarming. They were used to check the fire, adjust coverings, attend animals, or simply remain aware of surroundings. Continuous, uninterrupted sleep was not expected or assumed. Physical exhaustion did not guarantee deep rest. Hunger, pain, and cold followed the body into the night. Many went to sleep underfed, injured, or ill. The body lay down already strained, and sleep could not undo what daily conditions constantly imposed. Rest became another form of endurance, a way to persist rather than to recover. Children were shaped by these conditions from early life. They slept beside adults, absorbing the same interruptions, fears, and rhythms. Night reinforced lessons learned during the day. Stay quiet, respond quickly, do not draw attention. Sleep was learned behavior, conditioned by environment and necessity rather than biological need alone. Social position affected sleep only slightly. Those with more resources could improve insulation or separation, but even they remained exposed to fire, illness, and intrusion. For most people, night increased vulnerability rather than offering relief. Sleep depended on collective discipline, silence, and restraint within the household. Psychologically, sleep was never a full escape. Anxiety carried into the night. Dreams blended with fear and wakefulness. The boundary between sleeping and waking remained thin because danger did not disappear after dark. The mind stayed partially engaged, trained to respond rather than detach. Sleep in the Middle Ages reflected life itself. It was communal, interrupted, and shaped by risk. Night did not bring safety or privacy. It demanded adaptation, vigilance, and control. Rest was not a refuge, but a fragile state maintained under pressure, governed by the same forces that shaped survival during the day. This constant vulnerability during sleep reshaped how medieval people experienced time, the body, and the mind. Because rest was fragmented and shallow, fatigue became a permanent condition rather than a temporary state. The body adjusted to functioning while tired, injured, or hungry. Endurance replaced recovery as the primary goal. People learned to operate with limited energy, conserving strength instead of restoring it. The shared nature of sleep reinforced social discipline. Every movement, cough, or noise affected others. Silence was enforced not through rules but through necessity. Disturbance risked conflict, danger, or exposure. Emotional expression was restrained even at night. Fear, grief, or pain were contained because there was no private space to release them. Over time, this suppression became habitual, shaping temperament and behavior during waking life as well. Sleep also trained vigilance. People learned to wake easily, respond quickly, and return to rest without resistance. Light sleepers survived better than deep sleepers. The body adapted by remaining partially alert even in rest. This heightened sensitivity carried into daytime, producing caution, attentiveness, and rapid response to threat. Sleep did not weaken awareness, it reinforced it. Illness and injury altered sleep dramatically. Pain interrupted rest, and rest rarely reduced pain. Night magnified physical discomfort. Without effective relief, the body learned to coexist with suffering. This normalized pain and fatigue, making them expected elements of existence rather than problems to be solved. Sleep became another space where endurance was practiced. Religious belief and fear shaped the night as well. Darkness was associated with danger, moral testing, and unseen forces. Night prayers, rituals, and protective gestures were integrated into the act of going to sleep. These practices were not symbolic comfort alone. They were psychological strategies to manage fear and uncertainty. Sleep required faith as much as physical stillness. Children internalized these patterns early. They learned that night was not safe but manageable. Fear was controlled, not eliminated. Crying, restlessness, or complaint were discouraged because they threatened collective stability. By adolescence, individuals were conditioned to regulate fear, suppress discomfort, and maintain awareness even while resting. Over time, this form of sleep shaped identity. People did not expect rest to restore them or protect them. They expected it to allow survival to continue. The night was not an escape from hardship, but its continuation under different conditions. Sleep became an extension of daily discipline, rather than a pause from it. Ultimately, sleep in the Middle Ages was different, because life allowed it to be nothing else. Insecurity, scarcity, and exposure followed people into the night. Rest was shared, interrupted, and governed by vigilance. The body adapted to fatigue, the mind adapted to fear, and endurance replaced comfort as the measure of successful sleep. Night did not offer relief. It trained people to survive another day under the same unchanging pressure.